have seen ourselves that occupation and insecurity, fear and frustration dominate the life of people.
We have heard repeatedly and have seen ourselves that occupation and insecurity, fear and frustration dominate the life of people across this land. The agenda of the 11th annual meeting for the Holy Land Coordination was a busy one. The meeting, bringing together some 15 bishops from around the world, began on January 8 with a visit to the parishes of Gaza and Nablus to support the local Christians. Patriarch Fouad Toual then opened officially the meeting on January 9 at the Franciscan custody in Jerusalem. Together we can build greater bridges than the dividing wall, he said in his speech, because we have reached a point of no return in history. The Patriarch referred to the so-called Arab Spring and thanked all participants for their support of the land of Jesus. We look forward to fostering bonds of friendship and solidarity. This hope was translated into concrete action when the bishops set out to go and greet the Armenian Christians for Christmas. Archbishop Torkom first greeted all those present and said warm words for an inclusive friendship between the various Christian denominations living in the Holy Land. The Apostolic Nuncio Antonio Franco spoke about the negotiations between the Holy See and Israel, stressing their positive aspects and denouncing the criticisms that are never lacking.
There are always difficulties and points where we disagree, but I must say that there is also a good will to seek solutions, to arrive at establishing a modus vivendi that is both dignified for the Christians and respectful of the social environment in which we live.
The next day, the whole group went to Haifa for a meeting with representatives of the other religions. Officiating as host was Melkite Bishop Elias Chakur, who welcomed Muslims, Jews and Druze in the parish of Ibelin. "Together we are stronger" was the motto that accompanied the day, because, said Monsignor Chakur, the God we worship is a God of peace. In saying these words, he wished to suggest a bridge that unites all faiths.
Religions are not for difficulties, violence and wars. No one thinks so. We are for peace. We build bridges to get to know each other better and share what is our treasure, each his own. This is very important.
Meetings with the authorities, visits and support to the local Christians, reflections on the changes brought by the so-called Arab Spring. The Holy Land Coordination focused on many current topics and reflected about the future prospects for the entire Middle East.
We are here to talk. We are here to listen, to see, and if possible, to help especially our Christian brothers and sisters in the difficult situation they are living now. Not only here in Israel and Palestine, but also in the Middle East and in the world.
In Israele, in Palestina, ma anche, nel Medio Oriente e nel mondo.
I think the main concern about it is partly the instability it is creating around Palestine and Israel. I think also that so far, it has to be said, the Arab Spring hasn't produced very much. Yes, it has definitely got rid of some autocratic and dictatorial leaders, but we have no idea really in any of the countries what is taking place. There is a fear that fundamentalist Islam could take over in some of these places. Also, we don't know even if some of these organizations should become powerful within the government. We don't know what that would mean, as we know from history that very often organizations which out of power can sound very radical and extreme. When the reality of being in power comes, then they do change. Oh, I hope for peace, and I do believe that that is possible, particularly with the help of God. And we have seen impossible situations solved before. The one that in my life always comes to mind is that of the north of Ireland. Yes, the problems are very different, but there people had always said there will never be peace. There will always be killings going on. Well, there is now peace. It's not perfect, but it is much, much better.
Political leaders, we read in the final statement, need to show courage, resolve and creativity so the simple hopes of the majority for peaceful coexistence are realized. This is the final message that emerged during the concluding press conference, a message of peace and hope, and not only for this land in trouble.
We must bring this message to our nations and our communities Our solidarity must be visible through pilgrimages and prayer, to give a voice to the communities of the Holy Land.